is the Doublet Special Master.
Live and direct.
Breakfast with CubCamTV.
Trickstar Radio.
What's happening, people? And once again, welcome back to Breakfast with Kovu here on the Big Bad Trickstar Radio. As you well know, we have got a very special guest joining us today for the interview hour, which is, of course, our daily highlight section where we jump into interviews with different artists and musical figures from around the UK and beyond, talking through their projects, what they are working on, and, of course, what is still to come. Today, we are joined by somewhat of a regular of the show, someone who has been coming on this show for a long period of time, and I always look forward to seeing him back inside the building. A man like Nelson Navarro joins us. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm great, sir. I'm great. I always look forward to having these conversations. What have we done now? We've done freestyles. We've done quizzes about rockets. We've done so many different things.
Arugula. I will never forget. I will never forget what the Latin name is for rocket salad ever. You've imprinted that in my brain. You've imprinted it.
Well, yeah, man. It's good to get you on, as it always is. I'm very excited to kind of talk through a lot of different things. But first of all, let's have a bit of a catch up because, despite the fact it seems like I'm always having you on the show, it's already been 5 months since you were last on. So what's been happening? It seems like you've been super busy.
It's groovy, man. It's been a groovy time of year. Obviously, we had Christmas and all those kind of like worldwide events, popping off. So that was a nice bit of rest, and it's been a really interesting time. Been having some great shows popping off. I've got this new record that I've kind of like put together like since that time, and like just been like growing the mindset, man, changing the mindset, reading some books, watching some good YouTube videos, you know what I'm saying, like trying to boss up. So it's working on that, man. It's been fun. It's been a fun time.
It always looks like you're busy, man. I very rarely see like a week go by where you're not doing something of some sort of note, which is always exciting. It's inspiring as well. I'm sure it is to a lot of people, alongside myself, obviously. But yeah, kind of looking through. Obviously, there you mentioned getting out a bit more, doing a few more sort of shows and things like that. Like I've seen you being very busy. I came to see you at your performance at Green Door Store, which was amazing. Alongside that, I've been seeing you doing a ton of DJ shows. Talk to me about this sort of newfound energy for actually performing, because it seems like there's so much going on.
Gee, it's actually been so much fun recently. Like it's been really fun, and it's like I think like so probably after I saw you to come put on the freestyle, we did that gig at Green Door Store, which was a release party for the Afrofuturist series that I put out last year. And I think like following that and just like leveling up the sound and like really like having so much time to work on like what I want, like work out like how do I want to be and sound, and like what do I want to be talking about on stage, and like taking all these experiences that have like that I've gained from the last like 5 years, and be able to say this is how I want to come across when I'm on stage, and like whether I'm DJing as Nelson Six or if I'm playing as Nelson Navarro with the band, and like working out how things are going to look. Like the new stuff that's coming out, like SkyHook's obviously out, and that's the most different I think I've ever sounded on records, and I'm so excited about it because I feel like I know what I want to give to people, and I feel like I know what people want from me, this balance. So it's like now every time I'm hitting the road, I'm like, whether there's money involved or not, it doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? It's just like I'm gassed because I know I'm going to bring something great to people. I know that we're going to have a wicked time, and that I'm going to get to be creative. And that's really what the goal of life is, be creative, use these gifts and bring joy to people. So it's a fantastic time, man.
It's awesome, man. Like it's been so enjoyable seeing you bring those sort of bring those gifts to people. Obviously with the sort of live performances I've seen. I've seen you DJing more than I think I ever have done before in the last sort of couple of months. Like, where have you been playing?
Yeah. Mate, it's been wicked, man. We played Patterns at the start of this year, and we've got on a couple of weeks ago was Comedia. Actually, last week was Comedia on the 25th with DJ Mimi. So we're doing the first LGBTQ plus queer island themed night. So I'm playing like a bunch of music from the Caribbean islands. We've got music from Mauritius, and we've also got some music from like India as well. And it's like all of these things are kind of coming together where I've put a DJ alias together now. I'll go out as Nelson Six, and it's like now that I think I've created a home for the stuff that I love to do, which is I love to be behind DJ decks. I love to be able to be having my hands on like amazing songs and watching a crowd just dance and move and have fun, and being able to have like a home for that stuff where it lives and where it can grow and where it can be its own entity separate to what I'm doing as Nelson Navarro, as like an artist with words to say. It's like I feel like it's invested in itself, and things are growing, because DJing's so much fun, man, and I love doing it. So the more I get to do it, the more happiness I get to create.
100%, man. It's crazy. It's been so enjoyable to watch as well, and it does lead me onto a question which I do have to ask, which is one I feel you may not want to answer, but it is very simple. Which of them do you think you prefer when it comes to live?
Oh!
We're 5 minutes in, Nelson. We've done this enough times. You knew it was coming.
You know what? It's like saying which of your kids is your favorite, and the answer is different ones at different times. The answer is it depends which one's annoying me the least. In truth, it's like I've got they're both my favorites for different reasons. Like I get to starting Nelson 6 as a side thing. It feels very new. It feels very fresh, and it's like I'm starting a project from scratch with so much foundation already done. Like I've been DJing for a decade already, and I've been playing out in Brighton for like the last 5 years. So now having an entity that encompasses all that stuff, it's like it feels like it's capitulating a lot of stuff and putting it all together. And then Nelson Navarro is like, that's been my long grind again for the past 5 years, but it's all been under Nelson Navarro. So it's like I've been watching that grow, and now with Nelson Navarro, I feel like I'm at a point where things are again coming to a head, and it's like all the foundation has been there under this name. So it's like I get to explore different records, I get to like perform in a different way on stage, and I love singing, bro. I love singing so much. I love being a vocalist so much, and I love making records in the studio so much. So being Nelson Navarro allows me to do that, in a way that is really unique to that project. So I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for that. Really grateful for that.
Awesome, man. I mean, I knew I wasn't going to get a full answer, but I wanted to hear the reasons for both. That's what I actually wanted to ask.
I'm not giving it to you. I'm not giving it to you.
But yeah, obviously there you've mentioned kind of going back to being back in a studio scenario. I swear that I see you in a studio on such a regular basis with different artists, different scenarios. Like, how often would you say a week that you actually spend in studio scenarios?
I think it's like 3 to 6 days a week, and it's kind of the schedule is kind of chaos at the moment, which is fine. It's actually kind of by design. I used to try and be in here, like have a schedule and stuff, like be in here on a regular basis, and I've learned over time to be a bit more free flowing with it, and kind of just like there's so many people in the city to link up with and just to chat with, and now since having this space, I've had this space since May. And just had the time to make it my own and fit in here. And I thought it was going to be a thing where, I would be like, I don't know, like be hiring myself, like renting myself out to like be an engineer for people and like make other people's records. And I've done that, I've done that, and that's, it's been fun. And I've worked with some great people, and I've realized over time that actually it's like, that's not really what I care about. Like I care about making great music, like with people and collaborating on things where I can feel like I'm creating something. And so now it's like, it's an open door policy, and I'm just in here all the time. I'm just in here, like, to be honest, as often as I can be, I'm in here. Like I live right across the corner. It's like 200 meters to my house, right? So it's like,
that sounds ideal. That sounds ideal.
You know what, man? It's like the best. It's the closest I ever want to get to having a studio in my house at the moment, because I don't want it in my bedroom. I want it to be somewhere where I leave the house and I walk and I put on a jacket. And I get there and I take off my jacket, I sit down, get myself a cup of water, and it's like I'm here to do stuff. I love that. I love that feeling.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, kind of looking through where that sort of drive and creativity and the feeling of like being there to work has taken you, how are things kind of music-wise on a personal level? Because I know you've spoken a fair bit kind of about obviously working with other people and engineering and collaborating and stuff like that, but on a kind of personal level of music creation at the moment, like how are things for you?
Man, this is the happiest I think I've ever felt about making music and about being an artist. Really, it's actually wild, because obviously, I mean, you've seen, where I've come from and what I've been doing over so long, and it's like now with the stuff that's coming out and with the way that I'm making music, it feels like, man, it feels incredible, man. Like, it feels so good, because it's like I'm making things at such a rate and such a pace and so often and so frequently, and I'm really taking it seriously, and I feel like I'm playing the long game. Kanye, I don't know, have you watched Kanye's documentary yet?
You know what, I haven't got around to watching it yet, but it is one that's on my list. I'm very slow with watching things when they come out. I always take like a year to get around to watching things, and then when I do, I enjoy it. I'm always late to the party.
I recommend this, man. I'm really enjoying it. And I'm really interested in Kanye's story because he's the kind of person that betted on himself for so many years and really played the long game for way in advance and moved in such levels of faith that he knew what he wanted, he knew what he was going to achieve, and he was resolute in that. And I feel like I'm learning a lot from that mindset, in the sense of I know where I want to be, and in the past I've felt entitled to it, and I felt like I deserve stuff, right? And it's like I don't deserve anything at all. What I deserve is equal to what the effort that I put in and how long multiplied by how long I sustain that for. So the longer I'm working, the more diligently I'm working, the more consistently I'm working, that's gonna equal what I get, regardless of what I deserve. And understanding that, I was talking earlier about like reading some books and watching some YouTube videos. Like I've been reading Rick Ross's book, which is great. Gotta go out and get it. And I feel like the point I'm at now, I'm like, I can see this being my career for like the next 25 years, the next 30 years, and making music that lasts beyond my lifetime, beyond my death, records that live, whether that's records that I'm making now, I don't know yet, but I know that there are records that I'm making and now and in the future that will outlive me. And that's the goal, to leave that legacy for people. And that, for me, that's the exciting part. Because you get to connect with people, you get to give people something. You know what I'm saying?
100%, bro. 100%. It's such an interesting kind of thing hearing you talking through like the kind of long-term goals and where you want things to end up and where things I believe will end up. For you, having watched you, as you said, over the last sort of 10 years, the progression's been very, very clear. But we do have a new project to talk about, which has just landed, which I'm very keen to dive into. First of all, talk me through the meaning behind the name, and of course the sort of feelings behind the project going into it.
Yeah, for sure. It's called SkyHook. And SkyHook's a cool concept, man. I mean, I didn't actually know this. So first of all, I didn't know that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, very widely recognized NBA player, basketball player, and also star in the movie Airplane, which is a brilliant film from the 80s. But his signature move is a SkyHook. So he was dunking on people, and slamming that thing into the net, right? That's not where I got it from. That's my boy Jonas pointed that out to me, and I love that connection actually as well, because I feel like I really am hitting the slam dunk with this record, just for me in terms of nailing my sound. Where it's coming from is like there's a YouTube channel called KXVU, which is crazy. It's called like In a Nutshell in English, and it's like bare sci-fi videos, like conceptual videos, like what happens when the moon like crash lands into the earth, or like what happens if we detonated like every single nuclear bomb at the same time. And in this video, they talk about this idea of like a SkyHook, which is like a system that helps like propel spaceships instead of having to like fight and struggle to like escape Earth's gravity, which is the hardest part of like going to space. It's trying to get away from the Earth, and it's trying to get away from the thing that's holding you back real tight. You can create something that uses your own momentum to your advantage and like throws you out. You don't need to use rockets. You can just get picked up by this spinning wheel, and it will send you and it will fly you out. It will fly you out of the gravity. And when you need to come back, the same thing will take you and touch you down very, very nicely. It's like a very circular process. And I thought that was a really fitting name for this album, because it's the first of 3 that I'm putting out this year. And to me, the SkyHook is something that can propel you. It's something that can send you on a trajectory of greatness and a trajectory of adventure more than greatness, So I wanted to put that name on this record. I feel like that's what I'm manifesting, and it's like finding the adventure, and I love space, man. Space is like,
I was about to say, I was literally the thing I had just written down was obviously this a direct carry on from the sort of themes we've been seeing so far from you, obviously with the kind of Star-Lord themes and again the spacey themes as well, the rocket thing we spoke about earlier, which we did the quiz about as well. It definitely feels like there's a chronological kind of theme running throughout your works. Like, how long do you think you're going to carry on with this continuous storyline, or is it this is the storyline?
Man, for now, this is the storyline. You know what I'm saying? This is where I'm at, and it's like this is where I find like a lot of gold to dig for, and I really love it, and it feels like it's something that I've loved since young. My mom used to get me these little. I always was a science kid. I always been a nerdy kid. My mom used to got me this like puzzle this one time that was like the whole solar system, and I had this thing spread out all across me and my sister's bedroom floor. Like, I just putting it all together, and I always loved the idea, and I've always been into space video games, all these kinds of things. So it feels like when I put this out there, and when I you draw from this thing. I feel like I'm drawing from me, and I feel like I'm putting myself out there in a way that is like, this represents me. And there's so many ways I can do that. Space is one of them, and I love it at the moment. So for now, that's where we are. That's what it looks like.
Awesome, man, awesome. I mean, as always with yourself, there are seemingly a lot of sort of collaborative endeavours on the project as well. Do you want to talk me through how these have come together? Because this is from a personal perspective, I always enjoy hearing about how the collaborations came together behind albums, because that seems to be where a lot of the fun happens. That seems to be where a lot of the actual inspiration for the rest of the project tends to stem from as well. Talk me through how these ones have come together.
For real, man, and it's a great time that I've never been collaborating this much, actually. This is like the most I think I've ever been collaborating on like a regular basis in my career. Like, and I think that's another reason why I feel so positive about music, and is because I'm working with people that I'm friends with, and that's how a lot of these records came up, man. Like I've got Scottish Pretty and Jonas NDS on the first track. The intro track, and they're two of my homies. Do you know what I mean? And like the way they came together, I didn't even have lyrics to this beat. I wrote, the intro is like a song that I started in like 2020 in lockdown when I was working at Pirate Studios, and I was sat there and I made a beat and I sent it to my boy Jonas, and he patterned a great verse, and I just put it out on SoundCloud. I was like, yeah, cool. That is what it is. I just put it out as a Nelson Six thing, and then I sat there and I was putting together all these, like, I was like, cool, like let's put out some music this year, and I came back to it and I thought, let me try and do something. I added some stuff and I was like, this is crazy. And then I sent it to my friend Lewis, who's, Scottish Pretty. And Lewis is so talented, man. Like I met him through mutual friends, and originally from kind of Newcastle way, in his own, like he's got a group going, and you'll hear about him. Scottish Pretty, he's coming out. And that's what how most of these records came together. It's just like through people that it's just like, I kind of knew, like either we had a mutual connection or we were already homies, and it was just like, people who are hustling, there are loads of people in the city, like you see how you're doing, you're putting things out, getting the YouTube videos going, growing things, because we're hustling, we're putting effort in. And I see people putting effort in, and those people, we connect, because like attracts like, your vibe attracts your tribe. So collaborations with people like Scottish.
That's a very good phrase. I've never heard that phrase before, but I am gonna steal that right off you, that your vibe attracts your tribe. That's the first time I've heard it. That is woof. It's a good t-shirt as well, I've got to say. Anyway, carry on.
It's great. Like props to Dandelion on that one. She told me that a long time ago, and I think that's something that's always going to stick with me, because that's you can never scare away the right people. And I think when you're collaborating with people, I'm collaborating with people that I know and I trust at the moment, and it's like we have a great relationship. So it's like I'm feeling comfortable being my honest self on these records and saying what I want to say, and like feeling how I want to feel. And that's that's a key. That's a key to being able to make your best work, to be the best creative person you can be. Is surround yourself with people who encourage you to be yourself. Courage is a massive thing. So I think that's the magic. That's the magic behind this work. Yeah.
100%. I mean, you've mentioned already that this feels like quite like a big moment for yourself. It feels like this is quite a gargantuan project in regards to what it represents for you, in regards to obviously progression, not being held back, and all the different sort of subtle meanings behind the project. How does it feel for it to finally be out there? Because it feels like this must be one that's been kind of building, and now it's out there. You can enjoy the sort of secondary part of the process of releasing. How do you feel?
Yeah. I feel ready, man. I feel primed. It's like, I think previously releasing work, I've kind of felt like I'm catching up to myself. If you've ever, anyone who's listening, when you publicize your work, and some people will know exactly how this feels. Like you're publicizing your work, and it's like there's this fear and apprehension of maybe how it's going to go, how it might perform, like commercially, like are people going to listen to it, so on and so forth. Like, are people going to like it? And that stuff can be really worrying. And I think I've really just, where I'm so happy and pleased with the work that I've made, it's extending into this secondary phase where I'm so excited that people can hear this music. I'm so grateful to be able to say, this is stuff that I made, and I'm still happy to listen to it like years after, because I've been sitting on some of these songs for so long. It's like, I'm not worried about, oh, am I going to like this song in a while? Because I've been listening to some of these songs for like, upwards of 2 years. So it's like, well, then that's, I know these songs are great, and I'm excited for you people in the world to hear them, because, people are liking what I do. And it's like, if you like what I do and it brings you joy, and I can give you more, like, that's a win-win. It's just great. It's great. So I'm collaborating with QM on some release parties. You know, like this. Like I said, this is the first release of 3 this year. So it's like I've already got stuff coming. I've already got new stuff to focus on. You know, I'm already working on album number 2, and it's like that. I'm not feeling at any point like like what's going to happen next, because I feel like I've already planned it. I feel like it's ordained. So it's like, yeah, I feel very, very, you know, feel very powerful right now, man. I got to say, I feel really, really powerful.
Awesome, man. Well, we've only got a couple more things that I wanted to dive into in regards to the album itself. Obviously, the video for Late Night's out there now, which was a bit of a kind of precursor for the project. How did you find the response to it? And obviously, how did the video come together as well? Because it's a very interesting visual kind of thing to take in.
Yeah. Shout out my boy Mario, actually. Mario Camacho, aka Scatera Films. Mario got plugged to me by my guy Raf, who I DJ with for Tropicalia in Brighton, and Mario came and shot a video of Tropicalia. We play at Dead Wax, you know, once a month. We've got a little residency down there, like a club night for anyone listening in Brighton. Come through, see us on the 3rd Saturday of every month. And the way he was moving, he just moved like a boss, you know, like I said earlier about the effort that people put in and the way they conduct themselves. I think I was really inspired by it, so I hired him to work on a video, and it was great, man. I realized, like, videos, you know, you can watch a lot of commercial rap at the moment and see a lot of the same themes. You know, you see a lot of hood videos, you see a lot of people, or a lot of balling videos, like people stunting and, you know, doing things. And it's like, that works for people when that's their real life. So I'm thinking, okay, cool. Well, let me show you my real life. Like, let me show you me rolling around town, my little briefcase that I carry around with stuff in me sometimes. Let me, you know, go to Pompoko and get some food, because I love that restaurant. Like, let me walk around the mall and go get a bubble tea from my friend who works at the bubble tea place in the mall. You know, let me go to my studio and let's go onto the top of the rooftop and I'll burn some Palo Santo and I'll record a song while we're here. Like, really fly in the wall stuff. And I think that's just, again, like, working in environments as well as working with people, you know, creating environments where you feel encouraged to be yourself. And that's the way that the best music comes out for me, and the way that I believe the best art comes out of human beings. You know, create that place where you feel like you can push your boundaries because you know who you are and where you are, you know. So that's how it came about, and it felt great. It felt natural.
It feels like a very kind of common theme of the album as well. This kind of, not necessarily acceptance, because you've been this way for a while, but it almost feels like an amped up kind of acceptance of you are who you are. You're very aware of who you are, and people are able to see it through the songs you're releasing, which is such a satisfying thing both to watch, and I'm assuming for yourself it must be very satisfying to kind of see at the same time. I've got one more question for you, which is the question that no one likes to answer and no one likes to ask, but it's a question that gets put onto the list of things I need to discuss before we get into every single interview, which is, of course, this project's out there now. What's next?
Man, there's loads of stuff, man. So we've got a release party. We've got a release party on April the 15th at Green Door Store. We're playing with support from Eden Kelly, who supported at the last show, and she was really amazing. And she's my sister, so I wanted to bring her through because I think I just love her work, innit? And I think, you know, the way that she moves on stage and her band move on stage, you know, they're called the Kelly Collab now. And, you know, some of those guys are my homies, you know, that are playing with her. So it's family, you know, we're bringing family in on this one, and that's going to be great. That's a collab with QM Records as well. You can get your tickets on Dice and everything like that. So that's the 15th of April. 11th of May, which is my birthday, second album coming out this year. Going to pattern that up, going to get it ready. I feel like it's a great day to release some music as my birthday. So yeah, going to run that up. And then we've got a third album coming out in September as well. And, you know, more shows. You know, we've got a show on the 25th as well of June. So there's just, you can see how I'm stacking everything up, man. We've got album releases, release parties, album releases, release parties, album releases, release parties. You know, that's the plan for this year. And having a great summer as well, bro. I'm not sure about you, but I'm ready for a fantastic summer.
Well, there we go. There we go. I feel that's the perfect place to kind of round things off on, dude. As always, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. It's always very insightful to sit and listen, both to the wisdom and obviously the stories behind what you're doing. Nelson Navarro, it's been a pleasure, as it always is.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Peace and love to the Trickstar crew. Thanks for having me, man. It's a genuine pleasure. I appreciate you, man. Bye.
It's good to see you. So, following on from this, then we are going to jump into a couple of cuts off the album project, and then following on from that, we're going to get into today's edition of the Dub Shack. Keep it locked and don't go anywhere, people. We're live on Trickstar Radio this morning.
This is Breakfast with KXVU, bringing you their morning flavours on Trickstar Radio.
Trickstar Radio.